Deciding on a screen time amount for your family is actually one of the trickiest and most controversial topics that I hear among other parents. There's such a broad spectrum of thought on this topic, and in this video today, I'm just sharing my personal opinions on why I limit screen time for my young children. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Calena. I am a full-time mom to a 3-year-old toddler and also a newborn baby. And in my channel, we're keeping things really encouraging and informative and very real and talking about all things parenthood, motherhood mindset, non-toxic living, and homeschooling. So if that interests you, go ahead and like and subscribe for new videos every week. I just want to start by saying I'm not here to judge anyone. Everyone has to make the best decisions for their own family.
You do what you gotta do.
So if that means watching screens, that's great. If it means staying away from them completely, that's okay too. It's up to every parent to decide what works best for them and their kids. My husband and I also have different opinions on this too, so it keeps things a little bit spicy on this topic, and it keeps me kind of always thinking about what the best thing is for us to do in our family as well. My husband grew up with a lot of screen time. We're talking about TV shows, video games, and also educational tools too, like Mavis Beacon, growing up in the 90s, learning how to type on the computer. I, on the other hand, grew up more with movies, old traditional Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. And for me, I was always able to make my own fun because I lived on a small farm here in Southern California where we always had a ton of dogs, pigs, chickens, just lots of things for me to occupy my time. And even now in our personal lives, I mean, I have a YouTube channel, I like to watch TV at the end of the night, and I like to learn things on YouTube and other websites as well. And there's just so much information. So it's really hard to get away from screens completely because I view them more as an educational opportunity and an opportunity for connection. But I'm also a 35-year-old woman with a fully formed brain. So I know that when I look at screens, it's not the same as when my 3-year-old does. Next, I'll also share just a little bit about what some of the research that I found says about screen time for kids. The American Academy of Pediatrics says no screen time for kids under 18 months unless it's FaceTiming with someone that you know on the phone. And for children 2 to 5, it says a maximum of 1 hour per day. And the reasoning is not just that they're watching something, it's what they're missing when they're watching something. Things that are so important for kids like building connection, hands-on play, and just building creativity and focus. I read a Harvard Health article that actually talked about how screens affect brain development that also stuck with me. They found that screen time was linked to language delays, poor attention span, and even just increased emotional dysregulation and more tantrums. The NIH also did actual brain scans, and you could see a difference in the cortexes of children who did versus didn't watch screens. Your cortex is the part of the brain that's responsible for decision-making and critical thinking, and the kids who were watching more screens actually had thinner cortexes. That can't be good. Screen time can also affect sleep. It can be so tempting to just put on a show at the end of the night, especially when my toddler has not napped, he's going wild, my newborn's overtired and also having a meltdown, and the house just feels so chaotic, and I'm just praying and hoping that I can get through the end of the night. In those moments, it's so tempting to just sit us in front of the TV just so that I can get a break. The reason that I don't is because apparently screen time can mess with your melatonin, which is the hormone that helps you sleep and stay asleep. So the last thing I want for my overtired kid to have to deal with is a reduction in his ability to manage his own sleep once we finally make it to that finish line at the end of the night. So I've personally taken a little bit more of an extreme approach towards no screens because I've just seen some things out in the world that have really bothered me. For example, so many times I've been out at the park and I have seen young kids trying to climb ladders and going down slides and having to have their phone open with one of their favorite shows or something on and having that occupy their time over something that they're physically doing. I feel like kids should be able to play at the park without needing to be occupied by a screen. And it honestly made me just feel kind of sad. On the flip side, I've also seen parents totally distracted at the park too. And it just really saddens me when I feel like technology comes between that parent-child relationship that's so important, especially with really young children. I also feel like screen time is just not good for us humans, generally speaking, as a whole, because unless you're using it for educational purposes, it's really just such a time waster. Now that I'm in my 30s and I have 2 kids who I'm with full time, I can't tell you how much of a hot commodity time is with this perspective of truly not having any time to myself anymore. So I really appreciate that time so much more now than I used to, and thinking about just my children wasting that time that I have with them looking at screens and not spending that time with them doing something else just seems like such a lost opportunity. I find that also having my phone around me creates more stress and this sense of anxiety and urgency that's not actually real. On days where I have my phone in my pocket, when I'm with my toddler, I'm in the backyard or I'm out at the park, I find that I check it so much more than if it was in the other room and a little bit of out of sight, out of mind. I personally do feel guilty when I feel like I am being pulled to my phone, and it's by design. I mean, social media, all these things that are readily available to us, it's all purposely addictive, and it's so easy to just give in to the lure of looking at our phone constantly. But it just saddens me to think that when I'm doing that, my son is looking at me trying to get my attention, and I'm basically telling him through my actions that what's happening on my phone is more important than the little human that's standing right in front of me. And that's not something that I want him to have sink in. I want him to feel respected. I want him to feel seen. It's up to me as a parent to set that example for him so that when he's in a social interaction with other people, he's choosing to be present and choosing to give people eye contact and give them the time and respect that they deserve as well. These are some of the reasons why generally I don't let my kids watch screens. Now, have I let them watch something every now and then? Absolutely. For example, my husband and I both love the Christmas movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, and we watch it every single year. So to us, it was worth it to watch that movie with our son because that meant something to us and it was a bonding experience. And I just don't think that watching a 90-minute film once a year is gonna make any difference in the bonding between me and my child. Otherwise, we are basically screen-free in our home, and I have to say, I feel like it's made such a difference in how my son has developed because he is so articulate, his communication is excellent, his language development skills are excellent, and he is able to find a toy in anything. We'll be in the backyard and I just give him a shovel and some dirt and he can play by himself for 30 minutes, maybe even an hour if I just let him do that totally uninterrupted, which is a really long time to focus on something for a 3-year-old. And I feel like if we had been breaking that focus with screens or just filling that time where he could be doing something creatively with something that was more passive, like just watching TV, I don't feel like he would have been able to develop the kind of creativity and independence that he has today. So how am I filling my time with my kids if I'm not really ever watching screens? I think the biggest thing is that we're just outside a lot and we try to get out of the house as much as possible. I find that when I'm just out in the world, I'm at a park, I'm going on a walk or going on a hike or going to a friend's house, I'm so much less likely to be tempted to look at my phone because something that's going on in my real reality is actually interesting and engaging and fun, not just for my toddler, but for me as well. I throw on some music, I'll make some obstacle courses in our house or also outside, and that also just helps to pass the time and move some of that boy energy. We also do a lot of household tasks together, and my son participates in all of those tasks with me. So things like cooking, he's cracking eggs and managing the whisk and our scrambled eggs in the morning and putting some spices in. He's chopping some fruits or vegetables. He's counting blueberries on the counter. He's helping to wash dishes and bring things to the table and clean up after himself. He's helping me carry giant bins of dirty laundry to the washer. So anything that I can think of in my home that I'm doing to maintain my house that I can involve him in, I just take him with me. We also have a lot of Montessori style toys in our house. I'm such a fan of Love Every because they have a curated subscription selection based on your child's age and where they're at developmentally. So not only are the toys developmentally appropriate and really engaging, and my son really just enjoys them, but they're also really well made. They try to use sustainable materials. A lot of them are made of wood over plastic when possible, so they are sturdier, they last longer, and they also look beautiful. We also do a lot of reading. I probably read to my son at least 10 times a day, sometimes the same book 10 times in a row, and that's something that passes a lot of time for us. It seems like every new article I read or podcaster I listen to has an increase in age for when they feel that screens are appropriate. And I think the latest that I heard, I can't remember the podcaster I was listening to, but it said 7 years old. You shouldn't let your kids watch screens until they're 7 years old, which seemed really old to me. That just makes me nervous because I think even if the age isn't completely agreed on, I think the general consensus that I'm gleaning just as a parent using common sense from all these different sources is that I should probably just try to limit or just eliminate screens as much as possible for as long as possible for my kids. It's hard to know what the right answer is, and there probably isn't one that works for everyone. So my advice is just to do your research, see what feels good to you, and just use your best judgment for making decisions that feel right for your family. I'd love to know in the comments how you feel about screens with your kids, so feel free to drop those below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.